In this lecture, we'll talk a little bit about your preferred training style and different types of training styles that we can use to be more effective in our presentation design as we develop and work on presenting your content to your audience. So we'll talk about and answer the question, how can you learn about your preferred trainer style? We'll look at that and we'll provide even some inventories and things that you might be able to look over and go through and try to help narrow down what your preferences are. And we'll provide those as supplemental documents here in this module. So as we said in the last slide, we're going to look at training styles, and first you'll need to identify your style preferences. So we'll look at 4 primary training styles as we go through this presentation. And the first one here is instructor. And this person here, he or she enjoys setting up and directing the learning activity. This person also prefers to tell learners what to do, more of a pedagogical than an andragogical, than an adult learning style or teaching style, more of the teacher is the center of content and expertise. The teacher, therefore, the lecturer, is the center of the class, and so therefore they become the content expert, which you're paying your course fees and things like that to take online classes or college credit courses because you want an expert and a specialist. But sometimes in that way it can become, as we look down below at the disadvantages, that can be a controlling or boring or may not relate well to learners. There's that aspect to figure into it as well. And the other thing is, an instructor will usually use lecturing as a primary teaching or training method. But some of the advantages, as we've mentioned, is the expertise. They're clear and concise. They have their content down. The second training style from the primary of the 4 primary training styles is the explorer. And this person's comfortable helping others, their learners, share and interpret their reactions to a learning activity. Usually it's a good listener. This person also creates an open learning environment, encourages free expression, and shows empathy for the feelings and emotions of the learners. The advantages of this person, of the explorer trainer or teacher, is that learners flourish when given the opportunity to share their opinions. This style also creates a positive learning environment. Some of the disadvantages of this training style is that the explorer sometimes is more of a slow pace, and it might frustrate some learners. It could also be intimidating because it's somewhat more of encouraging participation from the audience. The next training style is the thinker. And this person here helps learners to categorize, organize, and integrate their reactions into theories, principles, and generalizations. The thinker also focuses on ideas and thoughts. Retrospective, does a lot of philosophical, theoretical discussion, acknowledges different interpretations and theories as things could be possible, not necessarily the black and white, but more of open to different ideas and different interpretations and theories. The thinker style, training style, also encourages independent thinking. Some of the advantages are this is good for abstract learners, thinkers, and they just explore and think about different ideas. It's also fun for a discussion of ideas. The disadvantage is, I think you could probably predict this one, is frustrating for the concrete learner. Some learners may miss the point even. When there's all these ideas floating around, the concrete person could be really frustrated because they want to narrow down, well, what is the answer, what's the right way, and what direction. Thinking about the quiz or a test or trying to get a good grade in the course rather than missing as a thinker would say, well, what do you think? And kind of getting to the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy of synthesis, evaluation, analysis, those things to be able to allow you to think on your own and to form your opinions. The fourth and final primary training style to look at in this discussion is the guide. The guide prefers to involve trainers in their learning activities such as problem solving, discussions, and helps them to evaluate their own progress. And the guide also encourages trainees to draw on each other and on the trainer as resources. The guide also facilitates theory into practical action, encourages active participation. Some of the advantages of the guide learning style is practical, encourages learner to identify a variety of ways to apply the learning points from a single activity. Some of the disadvantages are that the guide could appear to be hurried or rushed. Other learning steps besides the practical may be overlooked. And so just kind of getting to everything's practical and application. But as you look at these different training styles, the 4 that we've gone through, be interesting to see, maybe even in the discussion for the week or in your journal entry, where you see yourself fitting of these different 4 primary training styles. Well, as we wrap up this session, think through the different training styles that we've looked at: the instructor, the explorer, the thinker, and the guide. It'd be interesting to see, as I mentioned in the last slide, where all of us come out, and maybe a good discussion topic for the week, and to see where you're at. Like I said at the beginning of this lecture, I'm going to put some of these inventories, trainer type inventories, or your teaching style inventory, to share with you for this module, so you'll be able to get those from the course here. Just know that these inventories have been around for about 30 years, the last 30 years, and I think it will help you to understand. There's some that have been done. One of them I'll share with you is a trainer style inventory from 79 by Bostrom, another one by Wheeler and Marshall from 86. And then of course there's Kolb's learning style inventory. That one's probably a pretty popular one. And then there's also the experiential learning cycles inventory. But as a trainer or a teacher, you need to be aware that those you're teaching have unique learning styles. And so these things can help us as trainers to use our strengths to help communicate, and to realize that there are also other ways and methods that people think. And so we may want to integrate as many of those into our presentations to help and to facilitate those other types of learning styles for the best, most effective way for our learners to learn our material and to get the most out of the courses that they're taking with us.